Hey, I'm Shay. I'm a Capricorn. I like to paint, and today we are going to be discussing the most unhinged teen show to ever exist, I think, MTV's Awkward. Also, thank you to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. Awkward was an MTV show that aired between the years of 2011 and 2016 with a total of 5 seasons, and today we're going to be discussing the first. Awkward follows a loser 15-year-old Jana Hamilton and her weaving her way through the social hierarchy at Palos Hills High. I was so obsessed with this show in high school. I was watching shows like Gossip Girl, Vampire Diaries, Pretty Little Liars, and I was like, I can't relate to this. I want to know what the losers are doing. Where are the losers? MTV really showed me where my people were, and for that I will always be appreciative. For this video, I was initially going to go through all 3 of the first seasons, but then I realized this television show is just way too jam-packed. I'm not making a 16-hour video. That's just not happening, vibes. I'm so sorry. Before I begin, let me introduce you to the residents of Palos Verdes. If you see cat hair flying around right now, no, you don't. We have Jenna, our main character, and a bit of a social outcast. Her best friends, Tamara and Ming. Tamara's she's very quirky. She's very hyperactive. I love her a lot. I relate a lot more to her now upon rewatching the show as an adult than I did when I was a kid. And I really love that for me. Then we have Ming, who I heavily related to when I was a kid because she's a kid of Chinese immigrants and they're incredibly strict and they're just your typical ethnic parents. And I can relate to that as a West African babe myself. Next, we have Maddie, Jenna's main love interest, who is a little bit of a red flag. Then we have Jake, Maddie's best friend, but also Jenna's second love interest. Next, we have Val, Jenna's school mandated therapist, and I love that for her, but Val is a little bit quirky, a little bit too quirky if you ask me. Then we have Sadie, Jenna's arch nemesis. The arch nemesis thing is kind of one-sided because Sadie just be going off with Jenna and Jenna just stands there. Then we have Lissa, Sadie's best friend. She's also dating, Jake Rosati, but she's cute. She also means well. There's just not a lot going on up there. So then we have Lacey and Kevin. These are Jenna's parents. They are the Hamiltons, and they actually had Jenna when they were 17 years old, I believe. In this episode, we're introduced to Jenna Hamilton, who is walking down the hallways of her school with a giant cast on her arm up like this. She said Black Lives Matter, and I love her for that. So we see everyone staring at Jenna as she walks down this hallway, and then we flash back to summer camp, and she locks eyes with our very own Matthew McKibben, and all of a sudden, they're in a janitorial room getting it on. I didn't need to see that. Jenna then proceeds to ask Maddie out really randomly and awkwardly. My good sis was down, absolutely horrendous. But then Maddie goes on to say, nobody can know that I like you. At that moment, I wanted to reach into my screen and wring this man's neck. Later, Jenna arrives back home from summer camp and we're introduced to her mom who's on the phone talking about some vapid shit when she hands Jenna a letter that recently came in the mail for her. And just hearing the things that Lacey's talking about, we get an idea of the kind of person that she is.
Allison is not a size 2. No, I saw her at the club. She was falling out of her tennis skirt and not in a good way.
Just very self-obsessed, critical, and a distant mother. Thank you, Surfshark, for sponsoring this video. Our entire lives are online these days, which makes it so easy for our info to be stolen, which is exactly why I use Surfshark. It's a virtual private network that stops your information from being stolen by hackers and big companies. This is done by encrypting your data, which is especially important if you like to use public Wi-Fi to work and study in places like cafes. Surfshark also hides your IP address and has dozens of locations from all over the world that you can choose to be virtually present in. Surfshark has over 3,000 servers in 100 countries, which not only allows you to unblock content libraries around the world, but also allows access to blocked websites and bypasses geo restrictions. For an upcoming video, I need to watch America's Next Top Model, and it is not available for streaming anywhere in Australia, but with a couple clicks on Surfshark, I'm virtually in the US and I can stream Next Top Model. Surfshark doesn't monitor, track, or store what you do online, so you can be sure of complete privacy. Use my link in the description with the code SHAY, S-H-A-Y, to get an extra 3 months free at Surfshark. Plus, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you literally have nothing to lose. Thank you again to Surfshark. We later see Jenna in her room writing in her blog, and this reminds me of back in the day when I was in primary school and I had several blogs, and whenever I'd write a blog post, I would email the links to my friends, and I know they were sick of me, but listen, I was having so much fun. So it's very obvious that Jenna is still very upset about what happened at summer camp, but her bestie, Tamara, gives her a call, and they have a little I hate Maddie rant sesh. Although Jenna doesn't tell her the whole story, Tamara does not know that they hooked up. This is our introduction to Tamara, and I'm already obsessed. She's a visionary, she's a wordsmith, she's a poet.
I'll keep my phone up close and personal in anticipation. It's on vibrate. I'll go stab in your blog, and feel free to quote me.
Now she gets off the phone with Tamara, and listen, this girl has had a stressful day, and she decides, hey, I'm gonna draw a bath. I need to de-stress right the fuck now. She decides to open the letter that came in the mail for her earlier that her mom handed to her. We then hear a voiceover of Jenna reading this really horrific, mean-spirited letter that was sent to her by a friend. Now, we don't hear the whole of the letter because it cuts to Jenna out of the shower and writing in her blog. The last thing she writes in her blog before closing her laptop is, sometimes being a teenager makes you want to die. So Jenna's still not feeling too good, and she decides to take a few painkillers because her head's hurting her. All of a sudden she starts to choke, and instead of drinking water from the tap that's right in front of her, she just like keeps moving backwards. She proceeds to drop the cartoonishly large jar of painkillers, fall down, and on the way down she knocks over her hair dryer, which was connected to the power. It falls in the bathtub and it causes a power outage. Oh, and she gets knocked out as well. I think that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever said. Later, Jenna's mom finds her in the bathroom, and we learned that not only has Jenna broken her arm, but she's also fractured her neck, and she will be bedridden for a little while. We also realize that both the doctor and Jenna's parents think that she did that on purpose, that she tried to take her own life. This leads to a wonderful motherly statement from Lacey.
Why can't she be like every other teenager and just starve herself?
Thankfully, Kevin Hamilton, Jenna's dad's there, and he's like, Lacey, try to make this about anything else but yourself right now. Focus on your daughter. We then cut back to Jenna at school like we saw earlier when she had the armor. Then we cut to a sort of like Mean Girls-esque montage of students essentially just telling the camera what they think happened with Jenna, and they're basically all just spreading insane rumors. They refer to Jenna as that girl, low-key in a derogatory manner.
I heard when they pumped that girl's stomach, they found like 700 pills. It was autoerotic asphyxiation. I love that girl.
Jenna goes to hide in the bathroom, and we are introduced to two characters. One of them is on here, Sadie Saxton, who is the louder of the two. The quieter of the two is called Alyssa, and she's her ditzy friend. Anyways, Sadie is a character that I love to hate. She is a massive see you next Tuesday. As soon as Jenna walks into the bathroom, she tells Alyssa the loser wants us to talk about her. One of my all-time favorite songs, called Houdini by Foster the People, starts playing, which brings to mind the fact that MTV television shows had such banger soundtracks. Like, remember Teen Wolf? I discovered so much good music from that show. So after school, Jenna bumps into Maddie McKibben with a comically large group of girls around him. He doesn't even go up to her, he just mouths to her. He says, are you okay? Bitch, what the fuck do you think? You know what the hell just happened to her. Why are you even asking? Like, knowing what they did over the summer, like the fact that he doesn't even go up to her, he doesn't text her, he doesn't do anything. He literally just mouths, are you okay to her. He's a little bitch, I'm sorry. Later, Jenna goes to some after school counseling where we are introduced to kooky school counselor Valerie. This woman is so obviously not licensed and has no clue what boundaries are.
You weren't planning to ingest these, were you?
Actually, I was. They're breath mints.
So they are.
For whatever reason, Jenna's mom, Lacey, sent Val a copy of the, we'll call it the confrontation letter, the really horrible letter that Jenna was reading before her freak accident. Jenna's mom sent Val a copy of it, and Val starts to sort of talk her through it, although not very well. It's so evident that Val, the one person you'd think would understand Jenna, doesn't, and she refuses to accept that it actually was an accident, and it's really frustrating. A little later, Jenna is on the quad. She's having lunch with her besties, Ming and Tamara. Side note, she's leaning up against a trash can.
Recycle, douchebag!
Nasty. Nasty behavior. Anywho, Jake Rosati, who is also the class president, is up on stage and they're having a pep rally. And listen, I did not go to school in the States, so I had to Google what that meant. And when I say had, I mean I will Google what that means in post-production because I forgot to add it to the script. So Jake ends up picking a couple students from the crowd to participate. One of them includes Maddie McKibben, and he also picks the mean girl we ran into earlier, Sadie, to go up on stage. And already we see a couple glimpses of fat phobia coming from both Ming and Tamara, but Jenna is not participating in it. She's actually really nice to Sadie, considering Sadie's insane attitude towards her. Jenna decides that she is gonna go up and she's gonna compete in whatever they're doing. So she goes up on stage and they have to do a clothing swap and they're paired up. So Maddie's paired up with Sadie and Jenna's paired up with this random guy. The idiot that Jenna's paired up with high fives her broken arm, and in that moment I wanted a piano to drop on him because I know that shit hurt. Oh my god, just thinking about it. Now the students have to go into change rooms to change with their partners as fast as they can. We see Sadie is struggling with this, and it's implied that it is likely because of her body image issues, but on the other hand, Jenna and her partner absolutely kill it and they win the challenge. So because Jenna wins the challenge, everyone on the quad starts chanting her name, and she realizes she's not that girl anymore. She is Jenna Hamilton, period. And honestly, kudos to her for going up there, because I know when I was in high school at 15 years old, I would have been scared shitless. So go Jenna. So after the game, we see Sadie crying because she couldn't fit into Maddie's clothes. And once again, May and Tamara are making fun of her, but Jenna goes up to her and checks to see if she's okay. But Sadie goes off at her and blames the entire thing on Jenna. Hurt people, indeed. Also, this show has sound effects. So anyways, Jenna turns to leave and she bumps into Maddie, who once again pretends that he doesn't know who she is and goes off with Sadie and her cheerleader friends. Thankfully though, Jake, who happens to be Maddie's best friend, stays and comforts Jenna. I personally feel like this love triangle setup was a direct impact of Twilight. No, I will not be elaborating. I think you get it. So later that day, Jenna's at home and she's going through the Facebook dupe of this universe, and it turns out she has a lot of friend requests after her day today, which is really good. I love that for her. She's climbing up the social ladder. Among those friend requests are Maddie and Jake, and I'm really surprised that this boy has the audacity to send her a friend request after ignoring her the entire day. What a loser. You're a loser. He literally leaves her a message that says, thinking about you. Who asked? So at the end of the episode, we realize that Jenna has been using that horrible letter that she got earlier in the episode as a sort of high school guide. She crosses out the first step, which says, don't be a pussy. So the second episode starts with Jenna down bad, writing in her blog, going through pictures of Maddie McKibben. We get a glimpse of the so-called carefrontation letter, as Jenna calls it, and it's been clear that she's been using this letter as a way to become a quote-unquote better version of herself. This poor girl is surrounded by people who do not care about her feelings at all. In this episode, Jenna will be working on tip 5. Pull your head out of your ass and stand out. Later, Jenna's at the doctor with her besties and her mom, who is being a covert narcissist, but it's played off for laughs, so let's just laugh. I used to think she was so funny as a kid, and now I would like to tussle.
Worst case scenario, if it's unsightly, can we lipo the good arm to match the bad one?
Thankfully, the doctor takes Lacey outside and tells her to focus on her daughter, and he gets the cast off, but not before Jenna faints and dislocates her shoulder. Now she has a cast on the same arm, but thankfully it's not as eye-catching as the old one. Later, the girls are in school and they bump into Sadie in the bathroom, and she's like, maybe you guys wouldn't attract so much attention if you would finish the that your mom botched. How does this shit come into your mind? You have to be one unhappy son of a bitch to say shit like that. What is wrong with you? Also, the fat phobia in this episode is insane, and I feel like the show presents it as okay because Sadie is a mean girl. but y'all didn't have to write her like that. I know this was released back in 2011. This was geared towards teenagers. You could have young girls watching this who have similar bodies to Sadie, and now their heads are being messed with, you know? The things that come out of these characters' mouths is crazy. A lot of them I can't even tell you guys because I have to skip them for time's sake. The brashness and the insane comedy in this show, it's supposed to be satirical. Although, like, I don't know, like, where the satire ends and where it becomes, okay, this is how we actually feel about, like, young girls in society. I don't know, that's a little bit hard for me. Maybe I just don't have the brain cells to comprehend. At this point, Jenna just needs to leave Sadie alone. I swear every single time she tries to help her, it just ends up going just so horribly wrong for Jenna because Sadie will continue to blame her for shit that is not her fault. And it's just making Jenna's life actively worse. So why do you keep doing it? Later in this episode, we learned that Sadie's mean to everybody in her life, including her best friend, Lissa, who she compares to Jenna when she calls them both sevens. Sadie essentially alerts Lissa to the fact that Jenna and Lissa's boyfriend, Jake, have been talking a lot more recently. The thing is, Sadie knows damn well that Jenna is actually into Maddie McKibben, but she wants everybody to hate Jenna like she does. So because Lissa isn't very bright, she is very easily manipulated and she hangs on to Sadie's every word. So later the girls are in the locker room about to go into gym class when Sadie tells Lissa to take a photo of Jenna, who is currently changing with like her top over her head, and send it to Jake so he can see her body and see how gross she is or whatever. So Sadie ends up texting the picture of Jenna's boobs, not just to Jake, but to the entire school. And Jenna is not aware of this and she trots off to her weekly or daily, I don't know at this point, counseling sessions with Val.
So there's absolutely nothing you're feeling bad about?
No.
Course load?
No.
Your body?
No.
Not even your big teeth?
Now, as soon as Jenna walks out of that room, she sees a massive fuck off poster on the wall, which is literally just a photo of her boobs, and it's a bunch of students standing around it and laughing at her. Who raised these children? You would think Palos Hills High was set in the 6th ring of hell. These children are demons. So one of the students that are standing around it are he's not on here, Maddie McKibben. Just as she gets there, she overhears him saying, "I don't get why you guys are gathering here. There's not much to see." Jenna gets really upset about this, but it's obvious to us as viewers that Maddie just wanted everyone to leave. He could have just grew up here and said, "Hey guys, like this is really fucked up," or torn the posters down. But he chose to be a pussy as always because he cares way more about his image and how he looks than about Jenna. And that's just the truth of the matter. So we have another Mean Girls-like montage, and the teachers and students, these people are horrendous. Not so long after, the school is just filled with this picture of Jenna changing. Where are the teachers? I need this school to be shut. Just shut the whole thing down. Shut it down. So after school, Jenna's waiting alone for her mom to pick her up, which we realize that she forgot. She forgot to pick her up. And just as Jake and his girlfriend Lissa are leaving, he offers her a ride, much to Lissa's dismay. But to go further, he makes Lissa sit in the back because obviously Jenna has like her dislocated shoulder now, and there's like massive speakers in the back. So he makes his girlfriend sit in the back. So Jake starts to try to convince Jenna to not let the person who did this get away with it, that person being his girlfriend. And Lissa's dumbass is in the back like, but what if that person already feels bad? I need this girl to donate her brain to science. So Jenna later gets home to Lacey, who heard about what happened at school, yet somehow forgot to pick her up. So Jenna realizes that Lacey photoshopped Jenna's face onto like this tanned beach babe with like big boobs. Lacey calls this an enhancement. She has got to be the worst mother ever. She also unnecessarily reminds Jenna that she gave up college to raise her, as if that's her fault. Anyway, she proceeds to try to convince her to get a boob job. Yeah, her 15-year-old daughter. So the next day, Jenna tries to apply tip number 5, take control of the situation, and she decides to lift up her shirt and flash the whole school for like an uncomfortably long amount of time. And her eyes are closed and she thinks everyone's like, whoa, she's so confident, she's really taking control here. But nope, opens her eyes, she sees that people are laughing and taking photos. We then cut to counseling where Jenna is having a session with Val and guest star Sadie Saxton, who finally admits to having taken those photos and sharing them. She's kind of half taking the blame for Lissa as well, but she very obviously doesn't think that this is going to affect her much anyways because, and I quote, "What can they do to me anyways? My dad built the planetarium." Skidads. Sadie manages to get out of the situation via manipulation and gives Valerie the social validation she so badly craves. So later, Jenna's at home blogging and she starts to beg for attention on the Facebook dupe, and her dad catches her making her boobs bigger on this app. Kevin knows, and we know that Jenna's only doing this because of what her mom said to her earlier. Then he tells her to ignore her mom because she's beautiful the way she is. Aww. Thankfully, this is one of those scenes where we really get a glimpse of Jenna's confidence. She's not as like shy or awkward as she's presented to be sometimes, and honestly, it's really easy to forget that. So later, Jenna gets a call from Tamara, and she talks about this godforsaken character that I have been trying to forget and clear my mind of up until this point. Ricky Schwartz. You don't need to know any more than that at this point, thank God. All you need to know is that he's in a situationship with Tamara. He's really weird and he's a perv. Finally, Jenna decides to spill the beans to Tamara about how she hooked up with Maddie at summer camp, and Tamara gives her an earful. All of a sudden, she gets a knock on her balcony door. Who could it be? It's Maddie McKibben. Her begging paid off. So Maddie enters Jenna's bedroom with this adorable puppy dog look in his eyes, and he has like all the photos that were spread around school. And it turns out he took them all down. I don't know why he didn't just throw them away. What the hell is Jenna gonna do with them? I guess it's a thought that counts regardless. Anyways, he does apologize for what he said earlier, and they make up and they kiss. Whoa. So the third episode begins in a I forgot to change the picture in my slideshow for this episode, and I'm very annoyed, but I am less annoyed now that you know that I forgot to change it. Okay, thanks for listening. So the third episode begins in a montage of Jenna and Maddie hooking up in random places, and Jenna as the narrator saying that she isn't particularly happy in the situation that she's found herself in. Her and Maddie have been hooking up for 2 weeks, but she wants more. She actually wants to get to know him. Jenna then strikes up a conversation about their plans that weekend, and Maddie tells her that he's going to Alyssa's party and that she should come, and just for clarification, he doesn't actually invite her. He just tells her, oh, this is what I'm doing. You should come as well. He then kisses her goodbye, and that is all it took for Jenna to start shining her teeth. Girl, stand up. But yeah, Jenna deadass now thinks that her and Maddie are a thing. So Jenna's telling Tamara all of this the next day, and that girl is feeding right into her delusions. Tamara is like, yeah, he's totally using this as an event to like out them as a couple. Unfortunately, it's a canon event. We can't stop them. We soon discover that Sadie's gonna use Lyssa's party that night as an opportunity to hook up with Maddie for the first time. She also scares Lyssa by telling her that her and Jake's 3-month anniversary is coming up, and that if she doesn't do him, she'll lose him. Jenna and Tamara are getting ready for the party later. Tamara finally gets to read the confrontation letter, and she thinks that it was clearly written by Sadie. When asked why, we get this wonderful line.
2, she sexted your billabongs to the tri-school area.
Anyways, Jenna's trying to figure out what exactly she should say to Maddie. For some reason, in a shot that should look like this is what it looks like. That is not what any screen looks like when you're typing out a message to somebody. So later, Lacey is dropping the girls off at the party, and she once again crosses Jenna's boundaries, and she hands her this massive bag of booze. And I hate this because it's another instance of she never got to live out her childhood dreams because she was a teen mom, and she's now living vicariously through her daughter, and she is making her participate in harmful behaviors that she also participated in as a kid because she felt like she didn't get to do it enough. It's like, relax. This is what happens when you don't go to therapy. So the girls walk into the party and are shocked to immediately see that it is not a party, but in fact a small get-together with about a dozen people. Immediately, everybody's staring at them, and Sadie goes up to them and she's like,
Who the invited you?
So Maddie saves the day again, and he's like, I did. I love that. That is so embarrassing for Sadie. She was gonna hook up with Maddie, and now Jenna stands in the way of that. Anyways, Maddie makes his way over to Jenna, but he doesn't actually introduce her to everybody. He's just like, drinks are over here, and he just like disappears into the shadows. It's very nefarious of Maddie to invite Jenna to this party where he knows she doesn't know anybody, and it's like a very small amount of people, and then just leave her. At the end of the day, you know he means well. He just cares too much about what people think about him. He thinks the entire world revolves around him. And unfortunately, to Jenna, it does. That is why we are in this annoying ass situation. Anyways, Samara is trying to make the most of the situation by getting as much free booze as she can and getting hella pics for social media. The girl is building her brand, and Jenna needs to take notes. Tamara encourages Jenna to make the first move, so Jenna goes up to Maddie and checks notes, chewing ice. The two start talking, and Maddie does tell her that he also thought it was going to be a party, so he wasn't actually just trying to be an asshole. So yeah, the ice has finally been broken, both figuratively and literally. Can I just say I admire Tamara's work ethic? She is making the absolute most of this party. She even introduces herself to some popular girls.
It's spelled Tamara, but it's pronounced Tamara. Like, if your birth control fails, you better plan B it. Tamara.
Jenna is soon sulking in the corner and eating chips. Soon, Jake runs into her, and we get a beautiful I'm not like other girls character development moment.
Never actually seen a girl eat at one of these kickbacks.
Right. The two are having a really nice conversation until Alyssa shows up and attacks Jake's face because she is convinced that Jake is pulling away. In another location of the house, Sadie is busy trying to execute her get Maddie plan, but he is too distracted by little old Jenna, who he eventually ditches Sadie for. She then tries to convince Alyssa to throw Jenna out of her party. Anyways, Maddie is so obviously into Jenna, but I've said it once, I've said it a million times, he just cares way too much about what people think of him. And him and Jenna are just standing in close proximity to each other, and they're just so awkward. And you can tell they so badly just want to talk to each other. Like, what are we doing? What are these games we're playing? At the end of the day, they're teenagers. I did not date at all in high school, and I couldn't imagine like trying to navigate relationships while my brain was still mush. Anyways, in another room, Alyssa has kidnapped Jake, and she has him in this room, and she offers him her behymen, and Jake wants absolutely no parts. So in another room, Jenna is caught playing games on her phone by Tamara, who I don't know why this girl keeps trying to convince Jenna to keep giving Maddie a try. I feel so bad for him at this point, but Jenna ends up doing it, and her and Sadie find Maddie at the same time, and he is in a pool making out with one of the popular girls, Michelle. What they didn't see though is that he wasn't making out with her. He was just really drunk, and he was trying to get away from her. Michelle literally just like attacked his face. Ice Spice is not ready to leave the party yet, so Jenna calls her mom crying. The first thing out of Lacey's mouth is, "Oh my god, it's only 9:15. Please don't tell me you want me to pick you up already." This makes Jenna feel like she needs to lie just so her mom doesn't think she's a sook, and she's like, "Actually, I'm okay, you don't need to pick me up." Luckily for Jenna though, Jake is about to leave at the same time as she is, and he offers her a ride home. They get along so well. They're having good conversation in his car. Just as they're about to leave, Maddie texts Jenna, "Where'd you go, J-Town? Missing you." But you were ignoring her at the party, and the gag is men do this shit in real life, and that is disappointing. Thankfully, she ignores the message. Jake asks her if she wants to hang out a little bit longer before he drops her home, and I think that's so cute. I love when guys like girls and they just like go for it. No mind games like Maddie's doing. It's so adorable. So we are back with Tamara in the hot tub, and she can't get anybody to make out with her, and then we realize that somebody took a shit in the hot tub. And unless it was Tamara, which I don't think it was, it had to be one of these people, and all of them are making out with each other. So it was very likely somebody who was simultaneously making out and doing their business.
Well, it was fucking one of yous. Disgusting!
When episode 4 begins, in the background, Don't Stop, parentheses, Color in the Walls, parentheses, is playing, which is the 6th most played song in my entire playlist. I just thought you should know. It's homecoming week at Palos Hills High, and it's the day of the long-awaited bonfire. All the students are running around, all excited and in costume and face paint, but Maddie and the jocks are scantily clad in the school field, chanting God knows what. Jenna, Tamara, and Ming are having lunch in the courtyard. Side note, Tamara's wearing these massive fuck off sunglasses. When Tamara lets it slip that Maddie and Jenna hooked up, but Ming's there, and Ming had no idea, and she gets kind of mad because she feels like she's always the last one to find out about these things. But Jenna's like, the only reason I didn't tell you is because I was embarrassed, because we think that Maddie is still seeing other girls, because remember, in the episode before, we saw that he was making out with Michelle. As Jenna is asking for a sign to drop from the heavens that she should define the relationship, DTR, with Maddie falls into her lap. Jenna starts noticing a bunch of students have pink eye, aka conjunctivitis, which is inflammation of the eye that is caused by an infection. And she overhears some students saying that it was linked to an orgy at Lys's. Tamara removes her sunglasses to reveal, oh my god, she also has pink eye. But not because she was in an orgy. Remember, she was in the hot tub, but she couldn't get anybody to make out with her, so it's very unlikely that that was the reason. Tamara then accidentally bumps into Sadie, who calls her a poser, and we see that Sadie also has pink eye. Hold on, no, it's very, very clearly some pink eyeshadow, come on. Tamara knows straight away that Sadie wasn't even in the hot tub, so she goes to investigate. Jenna's growing paranoid that Maddie was part of this alleged orgy at the party, so when he comes to her locker with a baseball cap on, speaking while not making eye contact for some reason, she's really annoyed. She can't see shit. Jenna's very fragile, she's feeling incredibly fragile at the moment, so she goes to Val for some counseling. Anyways, Jenna sits down and tries to get some guidance on how to go about DTRing with Maddie. Valerie just ends up missing the mark as per usual, no pun intended. Jenna eventually does decide to have the talk with him anyways, and tries to run into him after school, but is intercepted by Jake, who is clearly catching feelings for her. She doesn't seem to realize this as she watches Maddie drives away with Sadie in his driver's seat. We fast forward to Jenna chilling at home, and we can see that she is not only ignored at school, but she is ignored in her humble abode as well, because her parents are having an intense flirting sesh right in front of her despite her protests. Lacey tells Jenna that the bonfire is where her and Kevin hooked up for the first time and where she was conceived. I don't think she needs to know that, Lacey. For whatever reason, Jenna sees this as a good luck sign. Maybe she's meant to go to the bonfire and cement her relationship with Maddie. Anyways, Kevin and Lacey are about to get out of the car because they want to be among the parents that are chaperoning the bonfire. Jenna tells them absolutely not. So they decide to do something that they haven't done in a very, very long time. They have a nice long chat with Mary Jane. So yeah, they decide to hotbox the car as they wait for Jenna. The girls show up at the bonfire, and I feel so seen in Ming's character. She tells the girls that she told her parents that she was studying at a friend's house. Now Sadie is so bold because even with that fake ass pink eye she has, she is still calling Tamara a poser. Sorry, I feel like I have to lower my voice because it's like nighttime now, and I don't want to wake my neighbors. Valerie's chaperoning with the teacher that she was flirting with earlier, Mr. Mishra. First thing that comes out of Valerie's mouth is, so is there a little lady at home with a dot on her forehead? This bitch. So later we see Tamara confronting Sadie about her fake pink eye, and it kind of makes her look like even more of a loser because she mistakenly calls pink eye an STD. But no, she doesn't mean sexually transmitted disease. She meant shit transmitted disease. She's saying that it was transferred because somebody took a poop in the pool and not because of an orgy like everybody's been saying. We catch up with Ming and Jenna, and we realize that Ming is still frustrated because she's been feeling ignored by Jenna recently. Jenna tries to apologize but is interrupted when Ming's mom shows up because she traced Ming's phone. She put a GPS tracker on her daughter's phone. Ming and Jenna break into a fight and Ming leaves, but not before telling Jenna, I hope you finally appreciate me when I'm on a slow boat to China. And honestly, relatable, because are you even a child of first generation ethnic parents if you were never threatened with being sent back to your home country? Can I get an amen? A couple of the students from the rival school break into their bonfire and start spraying the students with water from this massive hose, and Jake tries to grab it from them and stop them from doing that. But unfortunately, the kids run away, and pretty much immediately after, he's caught by the chaperones. So he gets in trouble, and Tamara iconically takes advantage of the situation. She grabs the hose and drenches Sadie. We see the makeup running down her face as she is revealed as a poser to the entire school. I can't say that I didn't have a smile on my face while I was watching this scene. I couldn't say that. So Maddie uses this chaos to whisk Jenna away, and she finally sees that he doesn't have pink eye, and before even trying to define the relationship, they start hooking up behind the school dumpsters. Disgusting. Maddie compliments her while she's making some corny jokes. This is when I really realized that she is so Bella Swan coded, down to the hoodie she's always sporting. Jenna finally asks Maddie if they're a thing, although they have to leave because they witness Val and Mr. Mishra hooking up. On the walk back to the bonfire, Maddie tells Jenna, "I like you, and I like that you're not afraid to be who you are. I'm just not sure I'm ready to be in a relationship." We hear Jenna in her head saying that she is most definitely not cool with that, but on the outside she's like, yeah, that's fine, Maddie. And then Maddie has the audacity to ask her for a ride home. Something stinks. And it's not just this situationship. Remember, Kevin and Lacey had been hotboxing the car, so Jenna is about to be driven home by her parents, who are very clearly under the influence. Lacey's in the passenger seat going to town on some potato chips, and Jenna finally realizes, oh, my parents are high. So later at home, Jenna does call Ming to apologize, and she tells her what happened with Maddie at the party. Ming gives her some really good advice. She also tells Jenna that her parents put the dog's shock collar on her as punishment for going to this party. This one I most definitely do not relate to. We begin episode 5 with Lacey dropping Jenna off at school. Lacey is also trying to give her a makeover before she goes in, so, and I quote, "People don't think they can't afford nice things," and hide her huge unibrow. Mother of the year, ladies and gents. Jenna finally manages to escape her mom and happens upon Matty McKibben leaving his car with a mysterious baddie around his arm. Jenna is shocked, and then here we're randomly introduced to this random guy wearing a shirt that says, "Jenna lives." And on the back it says, "In tribute. Jenna lives in tribute." Jenna's airing out her grievances with Ming and Tamara at gym class later, and they are jogging comically slow, and this is something that it's like once you realize it, you can't stop looking at it. It happens again in this season, and it's just, why? Jenna sees her in the bleachers and tells Ming and Tamara, and we have a bunch of fast-moving shots introducing her as cool girl perfect. Hair made to look messy, statement sunglasses, mini skirt, Chuck Taylors, tattoos, and a cigarette. Tamara immediately calls her a whore. So, babes, you don't know that lady? We also run into Jenna's lurker again, and oh, this just broke. Actually, that's so much less distracting for you guys. We also run into Jenna's lurker again, and he has a theme, and it's so funny, and I laugh every time I hear it. The slut-shaming of this new cool hot girl is crazy. Jenna Plus, as they call her. Jenna sees Maddie hugging her at lunch, and she's like, "It's not like he's cheating on me. We're not together. He can get HPV from whoever he wants." Okay. Jenna gets super frustrated, and she starts to think that the reason that Maddie doesn't want to be with her is because of her lurker, because it reminds him that she's rumored to be the girl who tried to take her own life. She goes up to her lurker and she asks him to take off the damn shirt, and he says no because Jenna Lives in Tribute is not about her, it's the name of his tribute band. Now, do we believe him? I don't know. Anyways, Jenna now thinks that the guy with the shirt is following her, so she goes to Val for guidance. Val, as usual, doesn't help much, and she suggests that he's stalking her because he wants to be friends. Then we see Val is also wearing a Jenna Lives t-shirt, and she proceeds to take it off in front of Jenna, revealing her underwear. And to that I say, how did you get hired in this school? Jenna rushes to Maddie at lunch and tells him,
So listen, I know we never talked about it, but you know I didn't try to kill myself, right? Misunderstanding.
and he offers her Jell-O. She starts to ramble and explain why she actually broke her arm, and kind of goes off the rails when she sees yet another person wearing a Jenna Lives t-shirt. Then Maddie leaves, and Jenna sees him giving Cool Girl a salad that he bought for her, and she gets jealous. She's like, "You didn't ever buy me a salad." So Jenna follows them to find out whether they're actually dating or not, when we run into Jenna's lurker, who has a stand, and he's selling these Jenna Lives in Tribute shirts. She goes up to him and asks him to stop it and to take his shirt off. He tells her that the only reason she keeps seeing him around is because he's an office aide. It's his job to like go around and do shit. I don't know. This ends up drawing a crowd and she removes the shirt herself. Val catches her and she's immediately sent to detention, where we also see Jake and Cool Girl. As soon as Val leaves the room, Cool Girl gets up and she's like, okay guys, we have 2 hours. Jenna's like, 2 hours for what? And she's like, 2 hours until Val wakes up from her nap. We're going to Giuseppe's, and she invites Jenna to tag along. The girl gets a phone call and Jenna hangs outside with her while she fights with whoever is on the other line. And innocent ass Jenna asks if she can bum a smoke because she thinks it will get Maddie to like her. Cool Girl gets off the phone and lets Jenna know that she was just on the phone with her ex, and she kind of gives Jenna an insight into their relationship. Jenna realizes that what Cool Girl is going through is exactly what Jenna is going through with Maddie, and she finally finds some empathy in her heart for her. That is until she sees her getting a call from McKibben, and she automatically assumes, yup, her and Maddie are definitely a thing, like friends don't exist. Anyways, they continue to talk, and Cool Girl is an absolute sweetie. She is so caring, even for Jenna, who she just met. Later, we catch up with Jenna, who is still smoking outside Giuseppe's and pacing up and down. Jake runs into her, hands her a smoothie, and soothes Jenna's anxieties by telling her that he never believed that she tried to take her life. Jenna also reveals that she's stressed out about a guy who has a girlfriend, and Jake thinks that she's talking about him. Oh boy. Val's nap comes to a close, so the kids head back into detention. And Valerie walks in and she tells them, good job. I actually snuck by earlier to check on you and you were all doing your work. Sure, babe. So now Jenna's outside waiting for her mother's tan to dry before she gets picked up, and Jake comes across her and he tells her that anybody would be lucky to be with her, and he gives her a kiss on the mouth. Later, Jenna's at home and her parents are trying to find a way to punish her for getting detention. They just end up fighting, and Jenna escapes to her room where she sees she has a friend request from Olivia P, aka Cool Girl. Tamara then calls Jenna and she asks her to go to Jenna's lurker's social media page. We find out that his name is Kyle and he is in fact an office aide, and Jenna starts to feel really bad about what she did at school earlier. Tamara comforts her and leaves her to go to bed. She signs off by saying, call me if you want to ugly cry, and I think that is really cute. I love Tamara, if you haven't already noticed. Jenna realizes that she needs to go on an apology tour. So the next day at school, she starts by apologizing to Kyle, even buying his band t-shirt to support him. While she's talking, he starts doing this prolonged staring thing that he does, which Jenna apparently doesn't notice. She says bye to him, and a Jenna shrine is revealed inside of Kyle's locker. Okay. Jenna dishes Ming and Tamara to sit with Olivia during lunch. Like they couldn't all just sit together. Anyway, Maddie soon comes in to join them, and he tells Jenna that Olivia is in fact his girlfriend. In-law, his brother's girlfriend. Maddie also mentions that he thinks Jenna and Olivia look alike, which is the second time they've tried to bring up this, what they're trying to present as facts in this video, and I'm not buying it. They're both incredibly pretty, but the only thing they have in common is having dark hair, I'm pretty sure. At the end of the episode, Jenna finally comes to the conclusion that the only thing keeping her from Maddie was how she saw herself, and I am so glad that we got there in the end. In this episode, we catch up with Jenna and Lacey at a mom and daughter's club meeting called the Knick-Knackers. I don't like the sound of that, me personally. So Tamara's also there with her mom, Tamara, and we soon realize that we are in the home of Sadie Saxton, who quickly goes up to Jenna and slaps a name tag on her and thanks herself. You're welcome. She also runs into Maddie, who is a food and bev attendant at this gathering. Jenna strikes up a convo and asks Maddie if he got her text asking him to hang out later, but Sadie drags him away before he can answer. Tamara then enters scene and realizes that Sadie gave Jenna a name tag that said. Sadie walks past, laughs, and says, "You have to be cruel to be kind." And the girls are like, hold on, that sounds familiar. Oh wait, it's because it was step 7 on the confrontation letter. Later, Sadie's mother, who is president of the Knick-Knackers Club, strikes up a convo with Jenna, who's admiring one of the paintings that she has up. Oh, hello. My cat, sorry. She is very impressed by Jenna's art knowledge. Lacey later strikes a conversation with Sadie, comparing Sadie to her daughter, saying, "I love your hair. I wish my daughter had that shine." Sadie realizes that Lacey is Jenna's mom, and she starts acting all innocent, hoping that Lacey will spill some secrets about Jenna. So Sadie's mom takes Jenna to the kitchen and asks Maddie to fix her up a drink. All of a sudden, Mr. Rosati shows up. Turns out he is also waitering at this event. Now, Jenna has not seen or spoken to this kid since he kissed her, so things are a little awkward. Lissa soon enters and shoos Jenna away, pausing this awkward encounter for now. Eventually, Jake and Maddie are alone, but Jake keeps messing up, and Maddie asks him what's up, and eventually he's just like, "I kissed Jenna Hamilton." Awkward, because Maddie's also kissed Jenna Hamilton, but he doesn't want anybody to know. And this is his best friend asking him for help. So what is he going to do? Soon after, Tamara finds Satan, Sadie's room, and immediately barges in. Tamara tries to pee on her bed. Thankfully, Jenna stops her. And Tamara ends up going through her bag and realizes that Sadie is a straight A student. That explains a lot. That explains why she can come up with these insane insults on the fly. That's not normal. It takes a genius to do that kind of stuff. An insecure genius. We get Tamara fat shaming Sadie again, and Jenna just looks disappointed, although she doesn't actually call her out on it. Tamara ends up finding Sadie's diary, and Jenna tells her immediately not to read it. All of a sudden, Lissa walks in, which causes Tamara to quickly hide the diary in Jenna's blouse. We later catch up with Jenna at home, where she's deciding whether or not she wants to open this journal. Lacey bursts in, all excited about how Sadie's mom, head of that club, took a liking to Jenna. Lacey also mentions that Sadie spoke to her about Jenna. Jenna becomes really annoyed, and she decides that she's going to read this journal. Except it's not a journal, it's a food diary and weight log. Later at school, she tells Meg and Tamara about the journal, and they both chime in on how they think she should go about using it. She thinks she needs a more mature perspective, so she goes to Val. She tells Valerie that it's Sadie that she's been having troubles with, and Valerie tells her to physically fight her. I can't confirm or deny that I agree with the sentiment. She even goes ahead to give Jenna fighting tips, mouthing and writing a sign that says "not on school grounds." Later in the school halls, Maddie's wondering what the hell he's gonna do about Jenna and how Jake feels about her. Maddie goes on to tell Jake to let it go because Jenna's probably not even thinking about it. Back at the Hamilton house, Jenna catches Lacey and Tamara, Tamara's mom, talking shit about the knickknackers for not letting them in. But Tamara leaves to go sulk in a corner, and Lacey reveals that her and Jenna in fact made it to the next round. They're not in the club yet, but they've progressed on to the next round. Soon, Sadie's threatening to deport her housekeeper if she tells her mom that she took a cookie. But Sadie's mom catches her anyway. Sadie flees the scene and her mom finds her in her room. Sadie vents to her mom about her insecurities about her weight and how hard it is for her to constantly be surrounded by girls who are skinny and have fast metabolisms and the toll that it takes on her. This is really heartbreaking, hearing Sadie cry about the body that she wishes she had and her mom showing zero empathy for her. She just tells her to keep tracking her diet. Her mom also compares her to Jenna Hamilton, encouraging Sadie to talk to her about eating tips, which just obviously drives her further off the edge. And here's one that I truly realized that Sadie only hates Jenna because she's threatened, which she shouldn't be at all. Like, she's an incredibly smart girl. She's incredibly privileged. She comes from a very wealthy family. She's clearly gonna go far. She's very pretty, and she has the height that Jenna doesn't. Sorry to all my short kings and queens out there. Me personally, I love being tall. All I'm trying to say is that Sadie is a really cool person, so I'm just like, what? Like, why? Why are you doing this? I really hate that this is sort of a tale of two narcissistic moms who don't realize the smart and beautiful daughters that they raised, and they don't realize that these daughters are doing just fine, and as a result, these daughters grow dysfunctional. Sadie with her eating disorder, Jenna with her self-esteem issues. Now, Sadie is extra angry at school the next day. In the bathroom, she knows Jenna's in one of the stalls, and she makes her think that the next knickknackers meeting will be a formal event. Jenna tells this to her mother in an attempt to get her to not go, but Lacey reveals that getting into this club is really important to her, and she feels like she doesn't have any achievements because she dropped out of high school to raise Jenna. Jenna empathetically tells her mom that she can still go to college, and I feel like I have to say college because over half my viewership is from the States, and you guys probably think I'm from the States too. I'm not. Later, Jenna and Lacey show up to the next Knickknackers meeting when they realize that they are the only ones in fancy dress. Everybody is dressed casually. And Jenna realizes, oh, this was a prank that Sadie pulled on her to embarrass her. It's especially embarrassing because this event is a soup kitchen and they're feeding the homeless while dressed in these glamorous gowns, so it's just a horrendous look. Lacey gets mad and she thinks that she did it on purpose. Jenna's looking up at her mom, completely disheartened that she will not believe her. Jenna has finally had enough. When she gets home, she grabs Sadie's journal, prepared to expose her. Then she realized it's just not fair to Sadie to do that, until she sees a diary entry that says Jenna Hamilton is an oozing skitch, which is a portmanteau of skank and bitch. At school the next day, Sadie drops a snide, unprovoked remark on Jenna, and she responds by quoting a page of Sadie's diary. Sadie tells her, give me my journal back or I will ruin your life. But Sadie already does that. She already ruins Jenna's life, so she just says no. Jenna says she's gonna give it back if Sadie puts in a good word for her and Lacey at the Knickknackers. Sadie tells her to go fuck herself. Yeah. And in response, Jenna says, okay, I can post your journal online or offline. What would you prefer? Then she drops a, you have to be cruel to be kind. You're welcome. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Now I need you to stand up for yourself like you just did with Sadie and apply that to the rest of your life. Now, Sadie is a bitch, yes. And I'm happy for Jenna for standing up for herself, but obviously this is not the right way to do it. So it turns out that Sadie made true on her word, and despite the tragic soup kitchen incident, Lacey and Jenna managed to make it into the Knickknackers. Before giving Sadie back her diary, Jenna asks, why did you send me that letter? And Sadie's like, what letter? She says that if she wrote Jenna Hamilton a letter, that she would have for sure signed her name on it. So it wasn't Sadie. Later, Jake tells Maddie that he is into Jenna and he wants to talk things out with her. But Maddie's like, no, that's not a good idea. And he grabs Jake's phone and pockets it. Jake eventually grabs his phone, ignores Maddie's bad advice, and texts Jenna. So Maddie decides to also text Jenna and asks her if she wants to meet tonight. So you don't want to claim her, but you also don't want your friend who you know is much better for her than you. You don't want him to claim her instead. It's giving foolish, it's giving idiotic, it's very baboon-like. Later, Lacey overhears Sadie's mom talking severe shit about her and Jenna, and we realize that they were added to the club as a charity case. Lacey quickly goes to grab Jenna and leave, but not before she defaces a very expensive looking vase. At the end of this episode, we find out that Jenna responded to Jake, but not Maddie. That's my girl. Oh, I sounded so much like Val just then. That's such a Val thing to say. Her narration tells us that she is finally taking her power back. At the start of this episode, we catch up with the students of Palos Hills High at assembly. Val gives them a speech about how the kids are going to be involved in a play for Drunk Driving Awareness Month. The play is called Crash, and it stands for Counselors Raising Awareness for Students Who Drink. The leads of the play are announced to be Jake as Dead Johnny and Jenna as Dead Stacy, which she is very confused about because she doesn't want to do that. For whatever reason, everyone in Palos Hills was vying for the part of Dead Stacy, including Sadie, adding yet another reason to her long list of reasons to hate Jenna Hamilton. In this assembly, we also see Ricky Schwartz for the first time. Remember Tamara's situationship, whatever the hell. Tamara says that she has been completely invisible to Ricky ever since his parents took him off his meds, which is a very interesting thing to share. Thanks for sharing with the group, Tamara. This case of sudden unrequited like is mirrored with Jenna and Maddie's relationship. She's been putting Maddie on the back burner and focusing on herself recently, which I love for her, but I know it's not gonna last long because it never does. Jenna is apparently very serious about not hooking up with Maddie again until he publicly claims her. Jake tries to convince Jenna to not quit the play, obviously because he's so into her, but the thing is Jenna is not even remotely interested. She's still so preoccupied with Maddie, and Jake has a girlfriend. She tries to hammer this home to him, but every time she brings up the fact that Jake has a girlfriend, he's like, who? Lissa, right, Lissa. Jenna tells Val that she doesn't want to play Dead Stacy, but she should give the role to Miss Jessica Chastain instead. Val also reveals that the school already has their eyes on her because of the horrible the horrible counseling that she's been giving to students, frankly. She's using Crash to prove to the principal that she can be responsible. Jenna even feels like she has to lie to Val. She tells her that her parents wouldn't let her play Dead Stacy because she's a dead character, and the whole rumor thing that happened earlier that year, they wouldn't roll with it. So Val's like, okay, you don't have to play Dead Stacy, but Tamara's not playing her either. Later, Jenna's at home dining with Lisa and Kev when all of a sudden they get startled by somebody knocking on their dining room window. Who else would it be if not for Val, who does not understand the importance of social norms and practices? Val enters and gives Jenna a cactus and gives Lacey a diet wine. Then she manspreads on a chair while explaining that she popped over because she wants Jenna's parents to rethink letting her be Dead Stacy, but obviously Jenna never actually told her parents. As soon as Lacey hears Dead Stacy, her ears perk up because she played Dead Stacy in high school, and we all know how much she wants Jenna to be exactly like her mother. Obviously, then Lacey's okay with her playing Dead Stacy, so she then tries to appeal to her father. He thinks playing a dead character will allow Jenna to quote unquote change the conversation. Also, Valerie is in the back filling up Lacey's fake boobs with consent, of course. Jenna's blogging later when Maddie asks her if she's free, and she hops over to his for a little late night booty call, and this time it's because she actually wants to. Jenna and Maddie are later caught making my cat is staring at me from the balcony and it's really freaking me the fuck out. Babes, look elsewhere. What are you looking at? Jenna and Maddie are later caught making out by Maddie's brother. The first thing he does is plant a cheek on Jenna's head and tell her nice ass. So great introduction. Maddie gets frustrated and embarrassed by him and tells Jenna to go home in the rudest way possible. This man needs to learn to have empathy for this girl who he allegedly likes. She once again put herself out there after being rejected so many times, and he ignores her again. The next day at school is Drunk Driving Awareness Day, and there are Grim Reapers going around tapping students to represent the deaths that happen every 15 minutes from an alcohol-related incident. If you're tapped, you have to be silent for the rest of the day, and you also have to wear this really creepy zombie makeup. Later, Jenna and Tamara are talking, and Jenna comes up with this idea where she's gonna alter the school play a little bit so she can actually change the conversation. Sadie soon gets tapped by a Grim Reaper, but she can't and won't be silenced. The Grim Reaper, Val, bribes her with a Sephora gift card. Sadie reluctantly agrees after bumping up the price. Lissa also gets tapped. Jenna and Jake are in Val's office working on their lines later when Jake brings up the kiss again, thirsty ass. Jenna gets annoyed by this, and in walks Val, who makes them hold hands. Just then, Lissa walks by with her zombie makeup on, and she is furious when she sees her man, who she senses pulling away, holding hands with Jenna Hamilton. Unfortunately, she cannot protest because she was tapped and she is now one of the living dead. Later, Jenna's in the courtyard when Maddie pulls her aside and looks to see that no one's around before talking to her, of course. Real smooth. Bitch. He apologizes on behalf of his brother for the night before, but Jenna's like, why are we hiding in a corner? You need to make up your mind. I won't let you sleep with me until you figure out whether you want to be with me both in public and in private. That's what I call standing on business. Later, Jenna's backstage and the play is about to begin. Val becomes nervous because Tamara is a horrible actress and Ricky Schwartz doesn't understand the concept of time and place. And you did it at my
And you did it at my birthday dinner.
Jenna manages to soothe her anxieties, and Jake comes up to her and gives her a little sass because she hasn't been talking to him apparently. You're cheating on your girlfriend, buddy. You do not have a leg to stand on here. Kev and Lacey are in the crowd, flowers in hand, and the show begins. Jenna and Jake are a good Christian couple at prom night who do not drink. However, Tamara and Ricky are a couple of heathens who are drinking on prom night. Ricky's character drives drunk, crashes the car. It's revealed that neither Ricky or Tamara's characters died. However, Jake and Jenna's characters did, hence their names, Dead Stacy, Dead Johnny. The curtains close and Valerie's narrating something to the audience while Jake has to pour some fake blood on Jenna for when the curtain opens back up. Jake finds this a great time to air his grievances about the kiss. Jenna stops him in his tracks and is like, listen, buddy boy, we're friends That's it. The curtains open back up and Tamara's character comes out from backstage, and on Jenna's cue, she makes out with her, which results in a standing ovation from the crowd. They love it. Val now thinks she's gonna be in trouble with the principal because of that unplanned kiss. She had no idea that that was gonna happen. The principal thought the play was great, and he gives Val a hug. The play has come to a close, and we have a bunch of students, talking to and congratulating Jenna. Finally, Maddie McKibben acknowledges her in public. He gives her a huge hug and tells her she did great, which Jenna is very happy about, but I'm not. Would he have done that if he wasn't in competition with Jake for Jenna's affection? I think not. This episode begins at the Hamilton house with Lacey being super nice to Jenna, and she feels like something is afoot. Tamara's there as well, and even she's weirded out. Just then, Lacey's bestie, Allie, appears at the door with a bunch of bags, and she will be staying for a couple days, and Jenna realizes, oh, this is why my mom has been treating me so nicely, because she has been trying to soften the blow because she knows that I hate Allie for a good reason. Allie is a lot. She literally refers to Jenna as low bitch. Unprovoked, Allie tells Lacey that Jenna also needs a makeover and that she too would try to take her own life if she looked like that. The gag is Jenna's stunning and she looks way more put together than Allie's raggedy ass. Soon, Allie suggests that they throw a kick-ass kegger, a party, to lift Jenna's spirits, and everyone is happy, everyone's in on it except for Jenna. Jenna's ranting to an abashed social climber, Tamara, who obviously wants the party to go on, when Jenna just casually drops that every single time Lacey comes over, she gets admitted to Child Protective Services. Hello? Min calls while they're having this conversation, asking why Jenna didn't invite her to the party, and Jenna's like, what party? Turns out Lacey and Allie had already sent out the invites somehow, and that somehow is by getting into Jenna's social media. Jenna tells them that she will not be attending the party, but then Maddie gives her a ring to ask what time the party is and what kind of beer he should bring, and all of a sudden, she's into it. So the girls are getting ready, and Jenna's actually really excited for the party, and I love that for her. She deserves something good. She also realizes that this could be a blessing in disguise and could really make her fit in more at school. It's almost an hour into the party and nobody's there. Tamara and Jenna are freaking out, but Lacey and Allie, who are seasoned party goers, or kegger goers, I should say, they know that all the cool people arrive fashionably late anyways, which in my head is why African time exists. I'm gonna let that one simmer. If you get it, you get it. So Allie hates what Jenna is wearing, and you know what that means? It's time for a makeover. Lacey is so excited Jenna's wearing makeup and that she has cleavage, and I wish she would show this much excitement towards her daughter when she's doing stuff that she actually enjoys. Anyways, Allie proceeds to hand Jenna an unknown pill, and I think it's about time we get CPS on the phone. So the party is finally in session and it's going a little bit crazy. Jenna looks amazing. Anywho, the doorbell rings and Jenna answers, and it's Jake and Maddie. And all of a sudden, everything goes black and Jenna wakes up in her bed the next morning. And under the covers next to her, she sees some rustling going on, and the covers are uncovered. That was such bad English. The covers are removed and we realize it was just Allie who fell asleep in her bed. Allie tells Jenna that she made out with someone, although Jenna or Allie, they don't remember who it is, and Jenna checks her social media to see if she can try to find some clues. She logs in to see hella pics posted and hella friend requests, but no answers. The blog post of the day is blacked out and whacked out. And I love that. And Jenna's writing about how she remembers nothing and her bestie Tamara will not pick up her phone. All of a sudden, Lacey wants to be a mother and she barges into Jenna's room and she's like, get off your computer, we need to clean up, your father gets home in 5 hours. The girls sluggishly clean up the house while Jenna tries to get D's from Allie about the guy she kissed. First clue is that he was wearing green sneakers. Lacey's continuing with the mom act and she goes up to Allie, tells her to put out her cigarette, and she snatches it from her mouth. Lacey leaves to go keep cleaning, and we find out from Allie that she thinks that they had a fight last night, but she doesn't remember what it's about. Jenna looks up and sees some boob prints on her window, and we have our first flashback of the episode. She sees Ricky Schwartz starting a put him on the glass chant to get Tamara to flash her boobs against the window so that the people in the party can see. Tamara goes to do it, and thankfully Jenna gets in the way before people at the party can see much of anything. Tamara then gets upset that Ricky walked away and asks Jenna to go tell him, oh, she's just wasted, she doesn't know what she's doing. Jenna goes to do so, but before she can even take one step, she is distracted by Maddie McKibben. She walks straight up to him and she starts flirting heavy, and they're about to kiss when we flash forward back to the present. Whoa, that was weird. Flash forward to the present, sorry. Jenna's leaving her millionth message for Tamara to call her back when she sees a wet patch on her couch, and she has a flashback to the night before where she sees that it was just like a regurgitation of a drink that she didn't like. She covers it up and Jake joins her on the couch and she's flirting heavy with Jake. And once again, we are in the present and Jenna's leaving yet another voice message for Tamara. Later, Allie wants to know what the hell her and Lacey were fighting about last night that got her so upset. And Lacey goes off at her again, apparently, because she found out that Allie gave Jenna those drugs.
Relax. Their prescription. It's not like I passed her a crack pipe.
Girl, are you good? That's an insane thing to say after drugging a child. Allie thinks Lacey should chill because when they were her age, they were doing that and so much worse. But Jenna's mom's like, well, yeah, and look where that brought us. I don't want my daughter to end up like me. And then she tells Allie that she needs to grow the hell up. Suddenly, Jake rings the doorbell and we find out that he's there to give Jenna her dad's shirt back. And Jenna's like, why? And he's like, girl, you borrowed it to me. And then we find out it's because she threw up on the shirt that he went to the party with. Jenna, you are very disgusting. How many times has she regurgitated something? Jenna asks him if they kissed before the regurg incident, and he says no, but she apparently did give him a lecture about how he was horrible for kissing her and dragging her into him and Lissa's bullshit. Jake apologizes and they agree to completely forget everything, completely forget the kiss happened. Before leaving though, Jake asks her to keep a lookout for Maddie's red Stanford hat that he forgot last night. And Jenna thinks it's weird that Maddie went through Jake instead of just texting her. We soon see the red hat on Allie's head and Jenna's like, where'd you get that hat? And Allie's like, it was in the hallway. Jenna walks over to the hallway and then she has another flashback. Jenna is still drunk out of her mind and is rubbing all up on Maddie. She suddenly launches into this tirade about how Maddie McKibben thinks he's all that. I play soccer, I'm hot, everyone loves me. She goes on to talk about how he ignores her in public because she's uncool and he thinks he's better than her. This starts to make him so upset. I expected him to be upset. I also am like, why are you mad? Like, is she not telling the truth? You do ignore her in public. You quite literally told her, no one can know that I like you. Sir, you were literally ignoring her up until a week ago. Be so fucking for real. The only reason you made a move is because you were threatened by Jake. You can gaslight her, you cannot gaslight me, bitch. So Jenna goes straight back into flirty mode and she's still super drunk and she takes Maddie's hat all flirty and won't give it back. And he tells her to keep it and he angrily walks away. Back in the present, Jenna sends an apology text to Maddie and then she gets a call from Meng, who tells her to check her social media page because apparently she posted some pretty crazy shit last night. She then gets a text back from Maddie and it just says, sure, period. Jenna's looking through the pictures and she sees some guy with green shoes, although it just shows the shoes. It doesn't show his face or what he was wearing or whatever. And remember, Allie said whoever she kissed had green shoes. Then a notification pops up which says that Ricky Schwartz tagged her in a photo.
No effing way.
Oh, that's not. So that's why Kim Possible isn't picking up. Okay. Later, Allie's leaving because she finally realized. Jenna gives her a tip and tells her to just apologize to Lacey and then say something nice about her and she'll forgive her instantly. And that's exactly what she does, and her and Lacey are back to being besties. We also find out that Allie peed in Jenna's closet last night. So Jenna decides to go get donuts for Tamara and go apologize in person. Tamara takes the donuts and then they get into a fight. She reveals that she thinks Maddie is literally just using her and she can't believe that Jenna can't see that. And she also reveals that she was the one who wrote the confrontation letter. We catch up one morning with Jenna on her social media and she has hundreds more friends after the party, but of course, none of them are Tamara. Here I also see that Jenna was born on December the 2nd, making her a Sag, which explains so much. I'm kidding. I actually have no idea. If you know more about that, tell me in the comments because I'm actually really curious. Like, does it check out? To feel better, Jenna goes to this Omegle looking website, and that reminds me, I used to go on Omegle. I used to go on Omegle, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the hell I was doing on there, and that may be for good reason. So I'm just gonna be thankful and move on. Oh, speaking of birthdays, it's Jenna's birthday. It's her sweet 16. She's in the car with her dad, Kevin, about to do her driver's test. For some reason, Jenna gets freaked out by the driving instructor's prosthetic arms, and she starts jerking the car around and just bombs the test. The way the show is trying to make me empathize with Jenna, who is scared of a man who either lost his limbs or was born with some sort of genetic disorder. Have you ever been outside before? You've never seen a person with a prosthetic before, bitch. Later, Jenna's at school and she tries to go up to Tamara, but she already has a new best friend. Jenna's locker is decorated with what looks like her student ID photo, and it's set up to look like it was Kyle who did this, but it was actually Sadie who a while ago bet that Jenna wouldn't make it to 16. She bet $100 and planned this thing thinking it would be funny if she had died. Sadie's hopeless at this point. How do you even get to that point? Jenna goes to Val to try to pull a sickie and go home, but Val doesn't buy it. Later, Jenna is sitting alone at lunch. Jake passes Jenna in the cafeteria and invites her to a soccer game later and tells her to sit with him, Sadie, and Maddie, and Sadie flips her off. So she decides she's just gonna sit by herself. I'm honestly surprised that she couldn't go up to more people considering she just had like a really successful party and took part in a play, and like she's not friends with Maddie McKibben. What's going on, girl? Anyways, Val gets on the loudspeaker, embarrassingly loudly yapping and rapping about how it is Jenna Hamilton's birthday. It's this whole thing, this poor girl. Val really needs to be employed with children who do not understand the concept of being perceived yet. Although the fact that she can't handle teenagers makes me think that putting her among little children would make their lives infinitely worse. So maybe let's not do that. These absolute freaks go to town on this cake with their bare hands, and Jenna can't even escape because she realized that she just got her period. Afterwards, Jenna calls Lacey to pick her up, but once again, she can't come immediately because she's doing some heavy-duty decoration at home. Jenna decides to go to that game that Jake invited her to earlier, just so she can pass the time before her mom comes to get her. Tamara's also at the game, but she's in the band with her new bestie that we saw earlier, and Ricky Schwartz, who is once again being weird and off-putting. Jake's trying to explain the game to Jenna when Maddie appears, and he comes over very awkwardly and he just quietly says hi to her. Jenna feels really weird being there, so she decides to leave when Sadie starts giving her shit for allegedly trying to steal her friends. She then pours coffee all over Jenna and she does nothing. Girl, fight back. After school, Jake is trying to get Jenna a ride home, and you realize that he always does this. He's always stopping and checking to make sure that Jenna's okay and well taken care of. And I really hate that she's been taking him for granted this whole time. Although obviously she's not attracted to somebody, it doesn't matter how good he treats her. In that case, they're just really good friends. And Jake does need to accept that. And also he is cheating on his girlfriend. So anyways, Sadie's with them and she's being a colossal bitch as usual when Maddie quickly offers Jenna a ride home. Jenna uses the opportunity to apologize, and Maddie's like, you know what? You were right. And he finally explains why he was so upset with Jenna, and they make up. When Maddie gets to Jenna's, she asks him, are we good? Are we friends again? And Maddie, upon hearing the word friends, has this really funny, visceral reaction to it. The sound effects just made me laugh so hard.
Totally.
And at this point, it's clear, it's always been clear that they both want to be more than friends, but both of them are too chicken to do anything about it. When Jenna gets home, she's surprised to see a whole new bedroom makeover. Lacey, I want to say she means well. I know she doesn't. Because lady, who is this decor for? This is not Jenna's style at all. But at the end of the day, she is doing something for her daughter. So girl, kudos to her, I guess. Anyways, of course, Jenna's grateful and doesn't talk shit about the decor to her mother's face. She just says thank you. Back at home, Jenna's alone in her room watching 16 Candles on her birthday night. While she's sulking, Maddie knocks on her balcony door to wish her a happy birthday and tells her that he wants to be more than friends. We are back at Palace Hills High, and there's a fight in front of the lockers. They have a huge crowd gathered around them. Turns out it's just Lissa going off at Jake for kissing Jenna. Sadie, the instigator supreme, basically tells Lissa to go fight her.
Watching an emotional train wreck was awesome.
This slap finally makes Tamara feel sorry enough for Jenna to start talking to her again, although she makes it very clear that they are not quite friends yet. She just wanted to make sure that she was okay. Later, Lissa and Jake are at couples counseling with Val, who for once is actually helping. She gives Jake a lecture and talks some sense into Lissa. Here it is very obvious that Jake wants Lissa to break up with him. He's too much of a bitch to do it himself. Later, Maddie asks Jenna out to dinner that night. I already know this is going to lead to disappointment, so I am internally screaming for Jenna. Later on, Ming lies, getting Tamara to go to the sanctuary for a random reason, but Jenna is actually waiting there to apologize to her. Jenna tells Tamara that she was literally drugged. There's no way she would have done that willingly. Tamara is super resistant at first, but she finally admits that she wasn't actually the one who wrote the confrontation letter, and that was just a lie because she wanted Jenna to feel as hurt as she did. The girls make up. Everybody's friends again. Praise the Lord. So Tamara thinks it was Maddie that wrote the letter, and her reasons are: 1, she got the letter the same day that her and Maddie hooked up for the first time. 2, he was only hooking up with her in private up until recently. And 3, he kissed a girl at the party a couple episodes back. Basically, Tamara thinks that he's been trying to work on Jenna behind the scenes and build her up until he felt like she was good enough for him. Jenna tells the girls that Maddie had actually asked her out, finally, and of course they are happy for her, with caution. At lunch, the terrible four are sitting together and Lissa's giving Jake shit, with the help of Sadie, of course. They leave and Maddie's stupid ass thinks that Jake is being a girl for telling Lissa that he kissed Jenna. This man belongs in hell. Anyways, later at home, Jenna's blogging about the suspicions of Maddie being the author of the letter. She doesn't think that he'd do that, mainly because he can't spell. Tam and Ming come over while she gets ready for her date, and they continue to dissect the confrontation letter. Downstairs, Lacey's showing Maddie embarrassing baby pictures of Jenna and also making fun of people with narcolepsy, and Jenna quickly grabs Maddie and escapes. The two drive over to a restaurant, which is ages away. Maddie is apparently taking her to a spot that is near and dear to his heart. Jenna can't help but think, is he taking me so far because he doesn't want to be seen with me? Lissa and Sadie are hanging out later and going through Jake's following list. Sadie's like, why is he friends with so many girls? But Lissa's like, she trusts him like she trusts God. And Sadie tells her, firstly, to get Jake to unfriend Jenna Hamilton. Secondly, to start listening to her instead of God. Thirdly, to get all of Jake's passwords. This girl is a piece of work. She just sets little fires around her and lets them burn just so she can feel a semblance of warmth. Back with Jennifer and Matthew, we see that they finally arrived at the restaurant and it's a little dingy. Jenna realizes that Maddie is a regular there and she comes to the conclusion that this is where he takes all his sort of rejects, all the girls that he's too embarrassed to date in person. That's a massive jump, babes. Massive jump. Maddie realizes that she's not into it and she's like, I know you're still trying to hide me. And then all of a sudden all of a sudden Maddie's uncle comes over, gives him a little secret bottle of wine, and his uncle says, you know, Maddie's never brought a girl here before, which makes Jenna feel like she's real special. The girl finally gets out of her head. The two get back to Jenna's later that evening and barge into the Hamilton house, hurriedly making out. And I'm so sorry, y'all need to develop some couth. They're interrupted by Ming and Tamara, who have been waiting in Jenna's house the whole time. The girls are in full interrogation mode and immediately force Maddie and Jenna to play a game where everyone has to anonymously reveal a secret that they've never told anybody before. Jenna's confession is that her friends embarrass her. Obviously, she's joking. Ming's confession is that her parents think she's gay. Maddie's is that he was felt up by his grandparents' neighbor, which is presented as a joke, but when he explains it, it's very obviously assault. The show wants us to laugh, so I guess we're moving on. We later catch up with Sadie and Lissa, who have been making Jake drive around all day in this bougie ass car. They've been making Jake drive them around to take them shopping, getting treatments, so he can make up for cheating on Lissa. Obviously, this whole thing is like spearheaded by Sadie. Jake's like, it's nighttime, can I please go home? And Sadie says, you will go when you're dismissed, bitch boy. She doesn't say it in those words, but that's the crux of what she said. We realize that they're actually at Jenna's house, and it's clear that they're about to make him do something crazy. The girls hand him a letter to go read it to Jenna Hamilton. In the Hamilton house, Maddie is officially one of the girls, styling Ming's hair because she really likes the way he does his. Tamara's asking him for boy advice, and Maddie says the first smart thing he has said all season. He tells her not to waste her time on Ricky and that he sounds like a douche. Jake is at Jenna's front door and opens the letter, but he turns back to go back to his car when he realizes how horrible and mean-spirited it is. Jenna answers the door, and Jake just uses this opportunity to apologize for kissing her and dragging her into his mess. Jake then goes back to his car and proceeds to give Lissa an earful for writing that letter, and he takes his keys out of the ignition and leaves them there since they won't get out of his car. Sometimes my cat looks like a person, just like for a split second. Oh, he just turned to look at me. Is it normal for cat owners to be afraid of their cats? Like, I love him and he's so cute and I love his company, but at nighttime especially, he scares the shit out of me, especially when he gets zoomies and his eyes get all big and he's just fucking whoa, whoa. Anyways, back at the house, the girls are leaving. Jenna's satisfied that Maddie is a good guy and he probably didn't write the letter. In this episode, the Hamiltons are sparking up the grill while Maddie is having his first official meeting with Jenna and her parents. The yearly formal's coming up and Lacey's trying to drop hints to get Maddie to ask Jenna out, which he doesn't. He just asks her what color her dress is going to be. The next school day, formal magic is in the air, with each student outdoing the next when it comes to asking their love interests to go to the dance with them. Ming's bummed out because she can't go, her parents won't let her. Once again, relatable. Tamara gets an invite to the winter formal via a remote controlled truck, and who else would it be if not for Ricky Schwartz? And she says yes, unfortunately. Jenna starts to feel weird because she realizes she kind of wanted the cheesy formal proposal from Maddie. He didn't even properly ask her. Elsewhere, Lissa has put Operation Get Jake Back in motion, and plan A is to make him jealous by hanging out with some random guy. Sadie, as usual, is spreading hate through the school halls, and she pops some balloons which were meant to be among a formal proposal from a guy named Marcus, and he looks really sweet. Who don't you have a problem with, Sadie? Oh my god. Oh, I forgot to say, she actually also outs Marcus. Somebody just fight her. Like, vibes, listen, I don't condone violence generally, but if somebody were to rock this bitch, I promise you she'd stop talking. Now, Lissa's plan is not working at all because Jake is too busy asking Jenna to the formal. He does so via mixtape, and I think that's so freaking adorable. I wish somebody would make me a mixtape. Maybe if I tried dating men that liked me. No, that can't be it. Jenna says no to his formal proposal as she's already going with somebody. Later, Jake is talking to Maddie about the whole thing, and he's like, do you know who she's going with? And Maddie plays dumb. Later, Jenna's at counseling with Val, and they're both talking about their boyfriends, even though technically Jenna hasn't DTR'd with Maddie yet. Sadie's up next with Val because she got in trouble for outing Clark and overhears talks about Jenna's boyfriend, and she wants to know everything. Imagine caring this much about somebody you allegedly don't like. This girl is such a loser, low-key. Like, all those brains and you can't put it to something more useful. That sounded kind of mean, but it had to be said. Soon Val gets a call from her man's Mr. Mishra, and she conveniently turns around enough for Sadie to steal the file of Jenna's that Val was using earlier and puts it in her bag. Later, we catch up with Tamara, who's super happy about going to the formal with Booty Schwartz. But she's like a super empathetic person, so she makes sure that Jenna is okay with her talking about it. Considering she didn't get a formal proposal, I need to stop saying that. It's so annoying to say formal proposal. I'm just gonna start saying asked. they didn't get asked, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Clark runs into them, and I fucking love him. He's so hyper, and he can't stop moving his hand, and I feel like it'd be like that. Like, I'd be like that sometimes. Anyways, he tells Jenna congrats for being a candidate for the formal princess, which the girls are super excited about. Jenna calls her mom, who is so keen for her, too keen. She drops the phone and immediately starts to go dress shopping for Jenna, who told her to wait for her to get home, by the way. Jenna walks up to the ballot box to vote for the formal king and queen when she turns over the ballot to see her confrontation letter. Someone had printed them on every single one of the ballot forms. It was Sadie. She got the letter from stealing her file from Val's office earlier. Everyone's staring and laughing at Jenna, and I'm so confused because what the hell is funny about this? Were these kids raised by wolves? Why does everybody hate Jenna? All she does is mind her business and sulk around the school. Jenna grabs all the ballots to throw away, but has a breakdown in the middle of the quad, and baby, I think it's time to move schools. You should have moved schools as soon as Sadie opened her mouth to say her first word to you, and I'm so sorry. That's kind of succumbing to bullying, but like, the school is doing nothing about it. Anyways, Jake sees her in distress and goes to sit with her, ignoring Lisa, who is eating the face of a random boy, still on her make Jake jealous campaign. The topic of conversation drifts back to the formal, and Jenna realizes Maddie is yet to tell Jake that they're even a thing. Later, Maddie asks Jenna if she wants to skip the formal and do something else instead, and she reluctantly agrees, although she doesn't let him know that that's not actually what she wants to do. Later, we learn that Tamara was the fourth girl that Ricky Schwartz asked to the formal, and she decides she's not going. It's about this time where Ming and Tamara also find out about the confrontation letter being printed at the back of all the ballots. We flash to Valerie at the lockers having a go at Sadie because she senses that she was the one behind the ballot situation. This is so random, but I forget that Val's face card goes so crazy. She's so pretty, and the kookiness makes you forget that. Anyways, Val threatens Sadie with expulsion, and she is forbidden from going to the formal that Saturday. For once, somebody is standing up to this girl, and we love to see it. Back to Tamara and Jenna. They both realize that they deserve better. Tam finally ends things with Ricky, and Jenna tells Maddie after school that she did want the cheesy proposal. She has her little rant and then tells him to have a nice life. We find out that Maddie was gonna ask her out, but didn't because he didn't know how to navigate the Jake situation, which that's still a really shitty thing to do. And Jenna walks off mad because why the hell didn't Jake know yet? Later, Jenna gets home and she's greeted by about half a dozen dresses that Lacey bought for her already. She's understandably frustrated because this is once again an instance of her mom just not listening to her and trying to make Jenna a carbon copy of her. At the end of the day, not all mothers would have spent their money to go get a bunch of dresses for their daughters to pick from, but it's so obviously coming from a dishonest place. Accept and embrace your daughter for who she is. Damn, it's really not that hard. After school, Maddie and Jake are playing video games at Maddie's until Maddie gets upset that Jake won't stop talking about it, and they get in a little tiff and Jake leaves. Maddie needs to take a course on communication because he's so good at gaslighting people into thinking that his problems are their own. Your best friend is ranting to you about a girl he's confused about, but like you're taking your frustrations out on him and you're not explaining why. Obviously he's gonna leave mad and confused. Anyways, Maddie then breaks what was supposed to be his formal proposal. It is hella cute, I will say. It must have taken a lot of effort. Later, Jenna's blogging when she realizes, I really need to stop being the dream girl that Maddie wants, the dream daughter that my mother wants, and I need to start living for myself. At school the next day, Tam is crying in the bathroom because of Ricky, and we hear another girl crying in the stall over. They start ranting and crying to each other, and they get out of the stalls to give each other a nice hug, and we realize it was Sadie. Listen, Sadie's life could be so much easier. There are clearly people in this school who are willing to empathize with her, and she has that empathy in her as well, clearly, but she just enjoys making her life hard. Let's let her. It's entertaining to me. Maddie and Jake are still on the outs, and Lissa has progressed to making out with randoms damn near on top of Jake's locker. Jake literally daps this guy up because they're friends. He could not care less. Later, Jenna decides to accept Jake's ask to the dance. In the final episode of the season, Jenna's at home and Maddie annoyingly shows up at her balcony and they start to hook up. Annoyingly, he tells her that he loves her. Then he goes out of the frame. Then Jake's head pops up telling her that he loves her. And then Tamara's head pops up talking about, oh, we can share, we can all share. It was a dream. Jenna wakes up in a panic with Tamara next to her. It is the morning of the winter formal. She tells Tamara that she feels like she really messed things up with Maddie and that she wants him back. Her head wants Jake, but her heart wants Maddie. Ugh, girl, I haven't been there. I've never been in a love triangle. I simply do not have the capacity for that much stress. Thank you. Later, the girls are at the salon with Lacey, who is still trying to control what her daughter looks like. She tells Jenna to put her hair down instead of up like Jenna wants it. Thankfully, or maybe not so thankfully, Jenna decides to stand her ground and she goes with hair up. Jenna invites Tamara to go with her and Jake, and she calls Jake to double check that that will be okay. It's very evident that Jake wants to spend some quality time with Jenna, but he says yes. Save for the cheating shit, he's clearly he has some goodness to him compared to Maddie. God, he's the greenest flag you've ever seen. We catch up with Maddie later, who's playing poker with his brother and friends, and he's being pissy because he wants Jenna back, which they give him shit for. They do offer him some solid advice though, and tell him to stop sulking and just take her to the formal because that's obviously all she wants. Like, she literally told you that's all she wanted, and you had to have it spelled out for you. I mean, to be fair, it'd be like that sometimes. It's hard to look at things objectively, especially when you are the one in the relationship. That's not an excuse. So he's really fucking with Jenna's head. And I see this and I see that Maddie's brother was the one to tell him to go for it. And I'm like, thank God for older siblings. What the hell would y'all do without us? At home, Jenna's freaking out because her hair is an absolute mess and she hates her dress. Lacey's on the case. She grabs Jenna's grandmother's beautiful crimson dress that she saves for special occasions. We find out that Lacey and her mom kind of had the same dynamic as Lacey and Jenna do, where she felt like her mom never loved her as much as she did herself. And she goes on to become quite emotional and is like, I will always love you more than anything. And it's crazy because, you know, she's obviously self-aware to an extent, yet she's actively passing on this trauma to her child. You know what I'm gonna say? Therapy. So Jenna is all fixed up and the girls are about to head out to the formal, but not before she finally bends the confrontation letter. The girls leave for the formal and Maddie arrives at the Hamilton house, prepared to ask Jenna to go with him, but obviously they've already left. You snooze, you lose. At the formal, Val and Mr. Mishra are chaperoning and they're doing some serious pat downs and bag checks on the students. You'd think it was TSA. Jenna arrives at the formal with Jake and her friends. Turns out Jake took them there early so they could get their pictures out of the way before tearing it the fuck up on the dance floor. Jake loves to dance and I think it's really cute. Matthew McKibben could never. In the toilets, Lissa is sneaking Sadie in from the window, who's yelling at her. Just then, Jenna walks into the bathroom. Sadie hides and Jenna offers her some lip gloss as sort of a truce. And it's clear that Lissa has finally come to terms with the fact that her and Jake are done. Anyways, her and Jenna have this really cute little moment. Jenna leaves and immediately Sadie bobs her head up, making fun of Lissa for being nice to Jenna. Lissa finally grows a backbone. She calls her a bitch, tells her that it's her fault that Jake broke up with her, and locks the window. She can find her own way in. We head over to the dance floor and the gang is absolutely tearing that shit up. They're so damn cute. I wish I had the confidence to do this back in high school. Anywho, Tamara ends up making up with Yucky and I don't want to talk about that anymore. Meanwhile, Sadie's outside the school trying to bribe people to sneak her into the dance. While Jenna and Jake are slow dancing, they realize that their friendship is very easy. Jenna finally gives Jake a chance and gives him a big fat smooch. But Maddie saw the whole thing. Jenna, please let him go. He had his chance. Please. I'm so tired of this. Jake goes up to him, just happy to see that he made it. And yeah, Jake still doesn't know about Maddie and Jenna. Maddie's sulking because he finally realizes that he messed up. Too late. Maddie does explain vaguely though, so Jake won't know who he's talking about, but he essentially says, yeah, I messed things up with this girl. I went to her house to ask her out to the formal, but she had already left and it's too late because she's with another guy now. And Jenna's like, oh my God, I made a mistake. And Jake's like, oh, la-di-da. Well, sorry, dude. Jenna very emotionally tells him that it is in fact too late, and she holds hands with Jake and walks off, although it's very obvious that she is not quite convinced herself. It is now time to to announce the prince and princess of the winter formal, and Val gets up to do so. She gets up on stage when she sees Sadie in the back corner scowling at somebody. She goes up and tells her that if she doesn't leave, that she will be expelled for stealing Jenna's file earlier, but Sadie's like, well, I already returned the file. Also, I know you didn't report it stolen, so there's literally nothing you can do, babe. Val gets pissed and she decides to dunk a bowl of fruit punch on Sadie's head, and that was most pleasing to me. Anyways, Val gets back on stage to announce the winners, and the princess is Clark, while the prince is Maddie McKibben, who is actually just about to leave the formal. At the end of the night, Jake drops Jenna at home, and she's really appreciative when Jake holds her hand because Maddie had never held her hand in public. The crazy teens enter the house and the alarm goes off. They say their goodbyes while Jenna calls her mom to look for the alarm code so she can turn it off. While she's calling though, I don't think her mom has picked up yet. She realizes, oh, the alarm code is in the kitchen junk drawer. She goes into the junk drawer to check. You want to know what else Jenna sees in the kitchen junk drawer? A pack of the exact same type of paper that the confrontation letter was written on. Lacey wrote the letter. And that brings us to the end of the first season. So that was awkward, and my God, what a trip. I really want to know how the writers of this show came up with all these concepts. It's like they just like got drunk, put a bunch of random shit into a hat and just pulled them out and would just insert it into episodes. But I loved it. I loved this show as a kid. It was so fun, so wacky, so crazy. Obviously very problematic. Definitely can be said that it was a product of its time, but it does not minimize the hurt that it could have caused. Did you guys watch it when it aired? Please tell me what you thought about it when it aired. And if you've rewatched it since then, tell me what you think about it now, because I feel like I was really able to analyze these characters a lot more, and I took their actions a lot more seriously watching it as an adult than I did as a kid. Obviously with my stupid kid brain, a lot of like the shit that was going on, I just was not processing. I mentioned earlier, I used to think Lacey's mom was funny. All that other stuff with her just like throwing jabs at Jenna, I was like, oh, she's just being like lighthearted. Ain't nothing lighthearted about it. She's trying to vicariously live through her daughter. And Kevin is low-key an enabler. Whoa. We're getting too deep. That is it for me. I think we've talked enough about awkward for one day. If you have gotten this far into the video, my God, you're a trooper. Loki, I'm so sorry that you've had to hear my voice for this long, but thank you. Anyways, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to follow me on my social medias, they will be at the end of the video and in the description below. Thank you once again to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. Bye!